The World Economic Forum, you're quite familiar with them because you watch this show. Well, they're having their meeting right now in Switzerland. And what's it covering? What's the theme? Cooperation, in a fragmented world, addressing pressing crisis, tackling future challenges. And that sounds really nice. All these rich, powerful people are getting together and they're worried about tackling challenges. What's the problem? Joining me now, my friend James Lindsay, author of The Marxification of Education. James, what's wrong with the World Economic Forum trying to work out which crisis they can solve? I don't understand what the big deal is.
I mean, if they didn't create the crisis, but that aside, the thing is, this comes up a lot, right? I hear this all the time. I know you like to lead with it on your show, but I hear it in no jest from people all the time. What's wrong with teaching compassion? What's wrong with this environmental blah, blah, blah? What's wrong is that they have an agenda. They have a particular angle. The solution means one thing and one thing only. It's not that they're going to have an honest inquiry. Is there various crises? Are there these various problems? And what can we do to solve them? We know the solution, and we're going to make sure that whatever crisis is in front of us or issue is in front of us can be inflamed into a crisis that we're then going to use to get to the solution that we want to have. They have their plan in mind, and that's the global cooperation part they open up with. They say tackling crises, but the point came first. We need global cooperation, which is a euphemism for global governance, which is a euphemism for global tyranny.
Can you help me understand why they want us to be global citizens? What does that mean? I hear this all the time, global governance, they want us to be global citizens. I'm not an American, I'm not French, I'm not German, I'm a global citizen. Why? It's a weird thing to want.
Well, there's no such thing as a global citizen, so it's extra weird. What is a citizen? A citizen is somebody that's in a relationship with a sovereign government. There is no sovereign global government. So there's no such thing as a global citizen. There are people who live in the world, but they want to switch the vocabulary over, and they're doing this with children, saying that education is to teach them to be global citizens very, very rampantly, because they want to get people used to thinking of themselves as global citizens. They want to define what it means to be a global citizen, since it's a nonsense term that doesn't mean anything yet. And then they want to be able to say at some point, hey, you already think of yourself this way. Let's make good on the relationship by creating the global sovereign that will secure your rights or extend you privileges or assign you duties under that citizenship agreement that you already believe you have. So it's basically getting people to walk themselves into a trap and then to consent to closing the doors on that trap later.
James, okay, so these people are meeting. They have terrible plans, which we can go into that a little bit more, but they have terrible plans. They're meeting. They're working out how to destroy us all. But how much power do they actually have? Or is this something we should be worried about? Is this just internet fodder? Or are these just powerless losers? How much juice do the people walking out of that meeting have to go back to their home countries and affect change?
Well, I mean, there's two things to say. One is very optimistic, which is that they appear to be very nervous, and particularly the leaders appear to be nervous. They have 5,000 Swiss guards there to protect them because they're so benevolent and loved. I hear that the police presence there is jumpy and nervous this year, more than in years past, much larger. They are aware that people don't like them. The AP, Associated Press, put out today an article saying that there's all these narratives about how evil it is on the internet. So they know they're not trusted. But the people there are big players. We know the relationships, like with heads of state. Zelensky is joining in. Apparently, we're going to put a bust to him in Congress if the Democrats have their way. So that's something weird. Senators are there. Governors are there. Governor Whitmer's there. Joe Manchin is there. So Joe Manchin kind of positions himself as a Democrat maverick. He's there. These people have actually tremendous power when they come back. You only need 3 or 4% of an institution, say Congress or the Senate or the Governors Association or something like that, to make massive changes in direction and policy. So if you have just a few of them that are committed to a Davos pledge, a Davos agreement, a Davos agenda, which is to create global citizenship, which is defined as being SDG, Sustainable Development Goal, United Nations compliant, then you have people with tremendous power who can do a lot of damage to the countries that they're betraying by aligning with this.
Klaus Schwab, obviously the head of the WEF, in case people have forgotten, I doubt anyone watching you or I have forgotten, but in case you've forgotten, here he is.
It is so exciting that at the beginning of the year, we can meet again in person. Only personal interaction creates the necessary level of trust, which we need so much in our fragmented and fractured world. To bring people together for an informal dialogue in a remote Swiss village such as Davos can be or should be a good recipe to restore trust.
James, but as you just pointed out, people don't trust them, and they don't necessarily seem that interested in regaining that trust at all. Why aren't they interested in earning my trust, James?
I think they know they've lost it. He just told you, though, they're not interested in regaining trust. It's yet another lie. They're interested in regaining each other's trust. It is for them to come together in a remote Swiss village called Davos to build trust with one another, to consolidate or probably develop lines of compromise on one another and blackmail on one another, or whatever they do at Davos. I have no idea. What goes there stays there, or happens there stays there. It is to build trust with one another, however. And it's kind of ironic that he said, to come together and the person, it's a build a trust. He's not even there. He's sick. He said he was sick. He can't come. George Soros also said he was sick and can't come. Makes me wonder if something's going to go down. Very suspicious, but he's not even there for it. But they want to build trust with each other, not with you, Jesse. You are a non-person in their eyes, because you don't have the vision for the perfect global future.
James Lindsay. By the way, go read his book, Race Marxism. Very fascinating. It explains a lot of where we're at now. James, thank you, brother.